this work is actually based on being in Paris. I do spend part of each year in Paris, and the apartment we have is on the 6th floor, and we are looking across at other apartment blocks. So they call that vis-a-vis, and they usually try and advertise apartments with sans vis-a-vis, so you don't have to have that because that's not desirable. But actually it is desirable because it's really amazing and interesting watching all these little stories unfurl in front of you.
Yeah.
And it is like that famous Alfred Hitchcock film called Rear Window. In fact, I've got a poster of it in French over there, which of course the French all are very aware of because of that window thing. But what I love is that you look into somebody else's life. It's like a whole other life and a whole other world, maybe an alternative life. You don't know what's going on, so you have to make it up. So you're thinking, what are these two people are having a feverish conversation about something. What are they talking about? Is it something really important that will change their life, or is it something really boring, like what is the brand of coffee that they should really be buying? You know, you don't know. I think if we're honest, we are really all interested in other lives. The other thing that I use, and which you can see in this picture a bit in a few places, is oil stick. I use them for the texture that you can get with them. So in the sky in this, there's blue sky there, and there's a bit on the straps of her top, and there's yellow there. I think there's a bit of yellow and blue. I've actually used these oil stick because it does have a very specific texture. As I said, you can put Terpsil solvent and thin that down to make it go smooth like paint, but if you want to make it like paint, why don't you use paint? So I love these, and I do use them quite a bit, but they're usually just in a few areas where I want a different texture. The rest of the painting is all with a brush, and with a range of brushes, including sometimes some of these really huge brushes, really long brushes, which are very exciting. And although you don't have to use these, the wonderful thing about these is if you're working on something large, even though this isn't huge, it's a reasonable size painting, you can see what you're doing from the distance, which means you can see what effect it has on the whole painting. Without these brushes, or even just with those brushes, what you need to constantly do when you're working on a large painting, even this size, which isn't vast, but it's reasonable size, you need, whatever you do, you need to step back and see what effect that has had on the whole painting. Because otherwise you can be doing something, you know, really pleased, it looks great, and it's really fantastic. And then when you step back, it's got nothing, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
So it always is, whatever you're doing, you have to see how that relates to the rest of it.